Red Ray Gun Limited presents
The Benji and Nick Show.
Hello.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Good day.
Good evening.
Good night.
Good Sir Night.
Good. Goodness.
Loch Ness.
Oh, I just was not in the zone.
It's all right. I was close to it all going pear-shaped. So in a way, you know, we were both. It happens. It's part of it.
So, all of you watching, all of you listening, that was the Loch Ness game. It's how can I put it, Benji? It's not about Loch Ness.
And it's not a game, is it, really?
No.
No, this is the Benji and Nick Show, your number one show for vintage television in the British Isles, the Isles of Isles, and the Isles of Isles of Isles. That's right. We exist in the world and we talk about vintage TV from the past. TV you might remember, TV you might be very fond about, and TV you might not be so fond about. We look it over, have a little chinwag about it, a little chat, and then we see if it stands up in this winding, blinding modern world.
We might do some of that. I am not Benji.
And I'm not Nick.
But there you have it. This week, we can never get this in the right order. We don't write it down. We write this bit down, though. This week, we're talking about the Dalek invasion of Earth.
Yes, we are.
Which is 1964 Doctor Who TV serial. We did Dalek's Invasion of Earth 2150 last week, which Shelley, our guest reviewer, who will be here later after the emails, she'd never seen that. And so she'd started watching the Dalek Invasion of Earth to kind of compare the two very different beasts, much more so. I mean, the Daleks and Doctor Who and the Daleks are very different, but there seems to be a whole cavern, gaping chasm between the Dalek Invasion of Earth and the 2150 AD film. Is
huge
that fair?
It's this completely there. As I think you hit the nail directly on the head with the word beasts there. They're completely different beasts. Well, we'll get onto it. We'll get onto that.
Yes,
but it's certainly interesting. But yes, Shelley Dean will be with us later on as we look over that one. Poor old Jamie isn't going to be turning up today.
I don't know. Will he? He may or may. Is he not? Did he say he's not?
Yes, he said he can't. He said he's not able to today. Yeah, and apparently, yeah. That's what he said on the WhatsApp.
I'm
this morning.
probably not around a polls.
Yeah.
Right, fair enough.
Apples. You see, he's gone to an orchard.
Apples.
Gone to an orchard to pick up some apples. Apple.
I just like to apologise for anyone watching the video that Benji's a bit sticky today. It's not sticky from his point of view, but it is here, and I'm doing the recording. So
how bizarre! Yeah. Yes, I do apologise. The unfortunate nature of doing this over the internet is that sometimes it ain't great. So huge apologies, but we know that you're with us and you're here, and that is the main thing.
Yes. Once again, thanks to the many of you who've subscribed to us on Patreon. It's enabling us to create all sorts of brilliant extra content, which you will be aware of. Recipes, commentaries, after show, all that party. It also gives you a discount on merchandise at nicholasbriggs.com. Do you want to go and have a look at that? Should we have a look?
Yeah, why not, eh? Oh gosh.
Got?
Had the wrong window open, then I went to open a new tab.
Oh, shut the window.
And it opened up I think the score editor on my musical thing. So as good as that is, I don't feel I want to write a symphony right now.
Well, I think that would be a very interesting feature. Nicholas.
Well, you can get some rocking goodies on there, from Benji and Nick Show mugs to T-shirts to all kinds of merriment here. Interestingly enough, on the Facebook, a few requests for shirts. Well, they've been delivered. You can get quite shirts, or even the cakes shirt. It's just that's
from
the way
Doctor
it
Who
rolls.
and the Daleks. Yes.
Doctor Who and the Daleks. You can get Stop Don't Move shirts. You can get one which I particularly like, which is the Loch Ness game shirt, which says good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good day, good tidings, good gravy, good Ness, Loch Ness, and just hit the microphone there. You can get that in a cardinal red, eh? You can get it in black. You can get it in heather.
Heather, what colour's that? Is that like green or something?
I mean, you're asking the wrong one because I'm
sorry.
colourblind,
Yeah.
you see. I mean, it's a sort of
my
greeny
favourite, of course, as we said
grey.
last week, is I'm Ian Bannon.
Yes, the Ian Bannon shirt lives on. Please give them a go, and if you do buy one, please do take a photo and send it to our Twitter, which is at I think it's at Benji and Nick. I'll double check. It's terrible, isn't it? It's absolutely terrible. I don't know this off by heart. I think it's because I changed it when we originally opened it. I changed the. Yes, it's at Benji and Nick. I changed it. It's nice and personal. You can actually message us. But yes, take a photo, send it over there. We'll have a look at it, and we'll let you know what we think.
And we'll also to Facebook as well.
Yes, the Facebook, the Benji and Nick Show Facebook. Or send it in an email to podcast@nicholasbriggs.com. Get them in. Be lovely to see you rocking your garbs.
Yes.
Your garbs.
Or drinking a cup of coffee from the Benji and Nick Show mugs.
Yes. Or having a beer from the same mug.
Oh, yes, with a nice frothy head.
Oh, yes.
Not on the beer, just on your head.
On your head, yes. A sort of suddy hat. Should we rock over to the emails anyway?
That's a very suddy hat. Oh yeah, emails. Yeah. Now you want to avoid reading the really long one, don't you? So I'll do the first one.
Okay.
I know what you're about. Yes, this is sent from our good friend and patron Fatina G Isa, who says, "If you had," this is fantastic. Actually, I love this, Fatina. "If you had to be trapped in a TV show for a month, which one would you choose and why? If you could have the original of anything, what would you want it to be? If drinking fountains could dispense another liquid besides water, what would you want it to be?" So if you could have the original of anything, what does that mean?
I guess it'd be like maybe an original prop. Or like
I see. Okay.
Thing.
But what
yeah.
TV show would you like to be trapped? If you had to be trapped in one, what would it be
if I had
for
to
a
be
month?
trapped in a TV show for a month.
Yeah.
Oh, it's such a difficult one. It's such a difficult one to say. I mean, there's so many avenues, aren't there? Really. For a month. I mean, the easiest thing is to load up my Plex, as that's full of my favourite things.
I know immediately where I would like to be for a month.
Where would you like to be?
I'd like to be in Star Trek.
Oh, yes. That's a very good shout.
Because as you know, me talking about the world, I'd like the world to be more like Star Trek. No money, everyone's looked after, and also instantaneous travel. I mean, isn't travel the biggest pain in the neck? If I could just beam somewhere, I love all that. I think I'd have to be the captain.
It'd be fun. Yeah, imagine if you were the cleaner. And that'd be a whole different.
You don't want to be
fish.
Lower Decks. If you've seen the Star Trek animation Lower Decks, you don't want their life. It's hilarious.
That'd be a grim old existence. I mean, for a month, I don't know. There are so many options. I quite like. I mean, as grim as it sounds, it'd be quite fun to see what the world would be like in Survivors for a month. If it's a month, it'd be alright.
Oh my goodness!
Well, just barren nothingness and people roaming around and living off the land.
And murder and oh dear.
But it'd be interesting. Like, I quite like the idea of having a little settlement and ploughing the land and I don't know.
That would be hard work. No proper medical. If you cut yourself, you'd just die of infection.
Well, I'd just try not to do that, wouldn't I, really? But think about how good it would be.
Why hadn't I thought of that, Benji? Just try not to do that.
Well, think about it. If you just got yourself a nice generator, then you could nip into town, and because everybody's going to be
what
looking
are you going to fuel it with?
I don't know, petrol, hamsters. Or no, you can fuel things on if you get rotten vegetables and things in compost, you can use the gases from that to fuel a generator.
That's like inventing a technology. Don't forget this all happened in the 1970s. But anyway, okay, no.
Could be fun.
You're grittier than me. What about an original of something? I've thought of something actually. What would you? The original. To
own the original of something.
Well done. Yes.
I mean, things I would love. I would love the original TARDIS console, the first one. I would love to own that so much.
I found out when that was last used in Doctor Who. Do you know when it was?
Yes, it was last used in Inferno, wasn't it?
Well done.
You see, I'm not as green as I look, Nick. I know these things.
I just wondered. I had forgotten that.
I mean, the replacement one, looks jolly good anyway. But yeah, you can see the original paint, the green. Is it green? I can't see with my eyes.
Yeah, it is. It is green.
Original
It is
studio
green, yeah.
green colour, which is lovely in there.
Yeah.
But I'd love to own that. I always wanted to own it. I always said that if I got to the stage in my life where I had ridiculous amounts of money, I would have a house with a TARDIS console room in and watch Doctor Who. That would just be my. And then
on the scanner up on
exactly.
the wall.
That's exactly. I could walk in and be like, and then just sit back and relax. Maybe have
That'd be lovely.
Maybe have the original Enterprise as well. That'd be nice. Basically,
What, you mean the set?
Yeah, the set. Because at the same. Because at the same time, you can actually have the same concept for both these things. Because if you got the Star Trek version, you could sit in the captain's chair and watch Star Trek on the screen, and it's a big screen as well.
Yeah. Well, I saw there was a Star Trek stage show that was a bit of a send-up, and it was done in the 80s or 90s at the theatre in Bromley. And there's just this beautiful moment when the curtains came back and they revealed the set. And they'd built the bridge, but they had it on an angle, so you were more or less looking down at it, and they would all act.
Wow.
And it was just beautiful. I do love that set. It's lovely, lovely. Can I tell you what my thing is?
Go on then.
The original ring modulator they used for the Daleks. That old GBO one they used to have propping open the door.
Gold dust for you, though, isn't it? Would you keep it as a relic, or would you use it? Is the question.
Well, I would try to use it. Yeah, it'd be interesting, because also you might be able to get a good Silurian voice out of it, because I can't quite get mine to do the original Silurians. Although a lot of the Silurian voice is David Halliday's delivery, very unique delivery.
I think a lot with those. I think the key to getting those Silurian ones surely would be to up the mix, to halve the mix on the knob, so that the ring modulation is more harsh, perhaps. Could be.
Well, I've tried every permutation, but maybe that's worth a go.
Who knows?
Great questions. Here's the last bit is, if drinking fountains could dispense another liquid besides water, what would you want it to be?
Come on, Fatima, you know me far too well.
It's beer,
it's just beer, yeah, just a lovely beer. I'll tell you actually, funnily enough, the beer I've been really craving at the moment, and goodness only knows why, is Double Diamond. I bought
Works
a crate
wonders.
I bought a crate of it years
Double
ago.
Diamond works wonders, works wonders, works wonders. Double Diamond works wonders, so
wonders.
drink some today. That's how it
Still
goes.
manufactured for Prince Philip, I believe.
Philip, yeah.
The only man that still gets it. But I just remember it just tasted like bog standard, cheap lager, but I still fancy it, really. I don't ever fancy Skull, though. Skull is just the worst thing in the world.
Talking of beer...
Dri Barlow.
Beer Dri Barlow. Jamie Anderson, who's not going to be with us today, I can't read you the card he sent me because it's rude, but he sent me a whole load of beer.
Oh, nice. Cheers, my dears.
Yeah. Look, and he's
Funniest thing is, I had a similar
best
scenario
ever beer.
with my band. I was on a Zoom call with them the other day, and they said, "Have you drunk them yet?" I thought, what? The beers
hadn't arrived.
I said, "What beers?" And I still haven't got them, but apparently they sent me a load of beer, but I've not received it, so I don't know what's going on.
There's loads of novelty ones in there. So what I did, Steph put them all in the fridge, and last night I just reached in, I didn't even look, I just took one out and opened it, and then I videoed me drinking it, which I think I've got the video, which you can hear the sound of. It's rather pathetic. Oh, this is it. Hold on, I've got to turn up the sound, haven't I?
Very nice look there.
That's all I said. Here we go again. Just
This looks very interesting.
There he is.
Very nice look there.
Pan IPA. Peter, I presume. Very nice,
dear.
very nice.
It was
The beerman himself.
7% proof. It was a bit
Oh,
of
but
a,
you were gone by lunchtime.
luckily, it was a small. I drank it in the evening. Thank you very much. Gone by lunchtime. I had it for breakfast. No problem. I would want in a drinking fountain elderflower cordial, fizzy with soda water.
Goodness, no, thank you.
Gorgeous.
No. I'd stretch the dandelion and burdock, but that's about it.
Well, that's quite strong, isn't it? I do like dandelion and burdock. I haven't had it for ages. But
Just
the
gin.
elderflower one's nice and just neat gin, slightly burning your tongue. Yeah.
There's a hairdresser, or barber shop in town, which apparently they say it's part of the deal is that we cut your hair with our award-winning barbers, give you a shampoo, trim, all whilst you sit back and enjoy a complimentary whiskey on the house.
Oh,
I thought, you know what, I might have to go there. I thought
I was watching an
hairdresser
action film last night called Ava, and there was a lot of whiskey action in that, and I just wanted to reach to the bedside table and pull a bottle of whiskey out.
I've been on a whiskey renaissance lately because I haven't touched whiskey for a long time. Just went off it for years and years and years. And then the other day I had a few and I thought, oh, this is lovely. So I bought myself some whiskey for Christmas, which is going to be nice. I tell you what, though,
carnage, mate. It's carnage.
Carnage. I do notice, though, that the day after I've had a few whiskies, my voice sounds so different. It's really bizarre. It's such a
strangely,
thing.
You have this sort of hangover thing going on.
I don't get them, mate. I don't get them. You know what I mean?
The folly of youth.
I do get them. I do, and they get worse every year that goes by.
You imagine when you get to my age how bad the hangovers are. I mean, frankly, even though I had just one beer last night, this morning I was up early
After
and getting
one
on with
beer.
work. Yeah, but I was
Lord.
not. I thought, why am I not? Oh, I had a beer. That's what it was. Right, fine.
Let's people in the 7%, strong stuff.
It was, and it was very tasty though, as you could tell from my reaction. I go, no, very nice. Thank you very much. Yes. Do you want to read the next one?
Certainly will. Yes, it's Doctor Who and the 3 question marks by Nathan Martin. Which sounds like the stage show. Hi chaps, great to hear you revisit the Dalek movies recently and to get Shelley's perspective as a first time viewer. Just like you both, these movies are 2 of my immediate go-to things to watch if I want a bit of cheering up. Yeah. I was just wondering what TV stories you would both have liked to have been adapted for future cinematic outings, and with Doctor Who they continued. Would it have been Daleks all the way, or would you have liked to see monsters like Zarbi, Cybermen, Ice Warriors, or even Quarks get the big screen treatment? I personally would plump for a Tomb of the Cybermen. That would have looked amazing. That's the first thing that came to my head, was a Tomb of the Cybermen would be fantastic. Really arctic tomb as well. For inspiration, you could always check out this series of fun Target-style novelizations that seem to have crossed over from an alternative universe where the movies did continue on. Loving the Patreon stuff, although I see you've decided against producing any poo water merchandise. All the best, Nathan Mars. Can you imagine we release brown shirts with poo water on them? Maybe we should start just selling poo water. Not real poo water, but just brown coloured water.
God. I'm sure that would be contravening something. Let's have a look at that. I'm not
the Geneva
talk about
Convention. Auton Attack is fun. I'm loving these.
I'm going to have a look.
The Icemen from Mars. Doctor Who, The Curse of the Daemons. Doctor Who, Journey into Time. The Mission of Doom. The Yeti Invasion of London. The 10th Planet invades the moon base. Very good, very good.
I would like to see... I've always said this, and it's not a surprising answer. I think the Doctor Who story that would make an excellent movie is Death to the Daleks.
Yeah, it's a perfect one. You get the big climax at the end.
It's
obviously
great.
The difference would be the logic puzzles would be somewhat challenging and interesting.
Yeah, well, let's hope so.
Maybe you could have the classic scenario of the ceiling of the room coming down on them.
Oh,
those sorts
yes.
of spikes, and a real fun sort of affair. Well, it's like that. I'd love Planet of the Daleks. I think it'd be great fun, like a real jungle story and all that. I think it'd be really fun.
Also, Terror of the Zygons.
Terror of the Zygons would be a very interesting one. Would it work as a film? That's an interesting idea.
Definitely. It'd be a great movie. Yeah. Yeah, with a Scarrison walking around in London.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I mean, having said that, like The Web of Fear would be a great film. Like,
Definitely.
London Underground horror sorts of vibes.
Frankly, all of them was what we're saying.
Yes, apart from Underworld. We'll leave that one out.
Underpants.
Pants. That's what it is. It's pants. Pantaloons.
Total pants. Terrible rubbish. Okay, here we go. Adventure calendar. Adventure. Do you see it? This is from Thomas Hodden. We haven't been doing the date thing. This was sent in 1909, very early on in the 20th century. Evening all, he said. Interesting, he says evening all, because Benji and I have been singing the Dixon and Dr. Green theme recently because of a Sounds of TV documentary on the BBC iPlayer. Anyway, as the season approaches, I thought I would offer you a small token of my appreciation by way of thanks for your hard work this year. I enclose in this email a cult TV amazing, strange but untrue advent calendar with which to astound your friends. Within, you will find 25 interesting but utterly fictional tidbits to sprinkle through your conversation and liven up the dullest party conversation. So, did you know LeVar Burton famously played the unnamed police lieutenant in the video of Cameo's Word Up, but less well known are his subsequent reprisals of the character in Law and Order, The Good Wife and The Bill. Imagine LeVar Burton turning up in The Bill, wearing his visor, of course. Joe Pesci's first role was supplying the voice for Scrappy Doo.
Scrappy Doo.
I could totally believe that. You're laughing at me? An unaired episode of Survivors featured members of the regular cast being held hostage in the Blue Peter Garden by a masked killer who spoke only through his crossbow-wielding Basil Brush puppet.
He's a madman. He's a madman.
Mr. Blobby did time for manslaughter. I know
obvious,
that's not true
isn't it?
because I knew Mr. Blobby. Bruce Forsyth has uncredited roles in 3 different James Bond films and at least 1 Nightmare on Elm Street.
He was the bookman, though, wasn't he, in Bedknobs and Broomsticks?
The Bookman.
Or certainly the bookman. I think he's the bookman's henchman in that.
Is
he
he?
wields
Oh,
a rather
that's
nasty.
right.
He wields a rather nasty knife.
He does, doesn't he? Statistically, the sat-nav voice most likely to cause accidents is Zippy.
Turn left at the junction. No, not that way. Oh, George.
Do you remember the painting of a crying boy that was said to be cursed and cause house fires in the 1980s? The model for that painting was a young Danny Dyer.
Yeah, I'm not crying. I just, I've got a bit of garlic in my eyes. Do you know what I mean?
Bit of garlic. Before finding fame, Jason Isaacs was the Milky Bar Kid.
No, that
Milky
was Simon
Bar
Pegg.
Kid is strong and tough, and only the best is
It's
good
enough.
Was it really Simon Pegg?
No, it was on the Alan Partridge Comic Relief thing. Simon Pegg played the Milky Bar Kid who'd gone down a very slippery slope of drugs, sex, and alcohol. It's quite good.
Tom Hanks is one of many famous guests to have visited Sesame Street, but has refused repeated invitations to return out of embarrassment after a bout of food poisoning made him violently sick, and he threw up in what he assumed to be a prop bin, causing thousands of dollars worth of damage to Oscar the Grouch.
I knew that was going there. Good old Oscar.
Jason Statham has punched the Queen.
And she liked it, quite frankly. She punched him one back.
Bill Bailey auditioned to be the Milk Tray Man, but lost the role to Sylvester McCoy.
Ace, I've left them by the door.
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is actually the pagan symbol of rampant commercialism.
Yeah, for quite.
The final episode of Baker Grove revealed that the entire run had been the fantasy world into which PJ and Duncan escaped from their cells on death row in Texas.
That's exactly what happened.
This is excellent.
I remember it well.
References to the Cthulhu mythos are cunningly hidden in every episode of Heartbeat, the Tony Hart art show, not the nostalgia soap.
I used to love Tony Hart's Heartbeat.
Oh no, that's the gallery from Visional. Anyway, However, there is an episode of Heartbeat where Tom Baker plays a wandering cultist looking for the mortal vessel of the great old ones, so perhaps they were connected. An uncredited Elvis impersonator can be seen in character in The Rover's Return in several episodes of Coronation Street.
I bet it's been done. I bet that has happened, actually.
Several missing persons posters, throwaway lines and other small details hinted at murder mystery secreted in the background of Saved by the Bell. None of the main cast ever acknowledged it.
It was Screech.
Keanu Reeves was cast as Evel Knievel for the TV biopic that was abandoned before it was finished filming, but not before Keanu had learned to perform several of his own stunts and jumped over a double-decker bus. Ross Kemp once lost a fight to Gordon the Gopher. That probably happened.
Gordon the Gopher lost a fight to my dog. I used to have the puppet of Gordon the Gopher, and my first dog, Merlin, ripped him to shreds.
Well, it's rough justice, but fair. People who have played the Stig on Top Gear include Matt Smith, Jasper Carrott, Sir Alec Guinness and Leonard Nimoy.
Can believe it.
An entire hour-long Christmas episode of EastEnders was spent on a single uncut, single camera, single take scene of Dirty Den chasing a goose around Albert Square on his moped.
Well, anyone can fall in love.
Hey, very good, very good. At least 3 characters were written out of Emmerdale when they were just nipping out to the shops together, and the writers forgot to include or mention them again. Yeah, well, that's possibly true. 27 speeding tickets were accumulated during production of children's show Brum, which was about a
nasty little car.
We've got an opinion on that car.
I never liked it as a kid for some reason. Just never.
Brum.
Too much of a goody two shoes.
When interviewed on Going Live, Danny DeVito answered every question with the words "my sausages." That's just bizarre. Mel Gibson is an avid brony. What's a brony?
They're fans of My Little Pony, I do believe.
Wow, I didn't know that. And owns at least 3 of every My Little Pony ever produced, except one. I hope this festive gift amuses yours, T.E. Hodden. It intermittently did, Thomas.
It's a mammoth beast. Well done for giving us a window into your mind.
I'm going to invite Shelley Dean. So anyway, hello, Shelley.
Welcome.
Hi, guys.
How's it going?
I feel I must explain,
going
in the interest of full disclosure, that there was a recording error. Let's put it that way. We won't name any names. So we're having a sense of deja vu doing this bit.
Yes.
Yes. Did we say that before? Or am I saying it for the first time? So, Shelley, the Dalek invasion of Earth.
Dalek invasion of Earth. And I'm going to be able to repeat myself because I'm constantly repeating myself anyhow.
You said that before. Hey, no, sorry.
Yeah. Hey-oh.
Magic.
So I'm gonna start with the fact that I did start watching this right after I finished the movie.
Yes.
Having watched the movie before watching this, and definitely had issues with the fact that the way I watched it on BritBox, and the way BritBox numbers the episodes, I went into this thinking correctly, after it turned out that there were 6 episodes for this particular storyline.
It just felt like there were 46.
Right. Well, so I'm watching it, and I'm watching it on BritBox, and BritBox numbers the episodes not from, the actual story, but from the beginning of the season.
Beginning of time.
So, yes. So I'm watching, and it's draggy, but I'm okay, and I'm watching, and all of a sudden, I'm like, episode 7? Okay. I thought there were only 6, but all right, I'm going to roll with it, and, maybe I was wrong, maybe I misread it. And it just kept going and going, and then I realized by the 9th episode, because I knew how this was going to end, because my daughter had watched it, and she had a very adverse reaction to what happens at the end of this particular story.
You can give it away. I think everyone listening and watching has seen it.
Yes. So we know that this is Susan's last episode. And so we also know that I'm not a big Susan fan from the TV series. Susie who? Woo! And I so we haven't gotten to the heart-ripping scene of Susan leaving, and I'm like, and I kept looking, going, it says it's only 6 episodes. What is happening? And then I realized that the way Brit Box numbered it. But that just goes to show how draggy it was for me because
It's a dragger.
I really thought I'd watched 9 episodes.
Oh,
and
yeah,
not
it feels
the
like
6 that
20,
it was.
really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that being said about the ending was I bawled. I just cried and cried and cried. I just the writing, her leaving, the whole concept of what the doctor needed to do as a quasi-parent to his granddaughter was to kick her out of the nest, let her fly. And, that's what parents need to do. Parents need to raise their children to be adults, and our goal is to get them to be able to stand on their own 2 feet. And that's what he did for her. And I actually felt like he should have done it a long time ago because her character just drove me insane. And she was so, grandfather, David. It was just so David. No.
Well, nothing. I mean, nothing is get out the nest, learn to fly, and literally stranding her on a crumbling world. Just go and rebuild the world. It's not that hard, is it? You're not working sewers, toilets. Don't worry about it. Drinking water? Forget it. None of that. No, don't worry about it. No, it's fine. You'll be fine. You've got David. Christ, I'm so glad she's gone. Right.
Is that another
Jenny!
dead body floating past?
Yes. They don't listen. They don't read the signs that say, please do not leave dead bodies in the river.
Yeah.
Well, the Rovermen never read it. They just jumped in, didn't they? Yeah.
Yeah.
You imagine actually that opening scene would have been really less traumatic if the Roverman was heading towards committing suicide in the river and suddenly saw the sign and went, all right then, and went back up the steps.
I thought you were going to say that it would be less dramatic if he just went down there, took his trousers off, and was wearing a pair of swimming trunks. Then just went, and then you just see him going for a nice swim,
like a swan
coming out,
dive.
towel himself down, thinking, back to work.
You can imagine the Roverman obeying the sign instruction. That's like a modern TV series script editor's note. I'm not sure we can show the Roverman breaking the law. I think that's a step too far. I think we must show he's respectful towards authority.
Sit there with the Green Cross code there, reading it. Yes.
I don't think Shelley knows what the Green Cross code is.
I'm assuming it's some rules and regulations that were.
It's just about
in
road
place.
crossing.
Road safety.
Oh, okay.
Road safety.
Look once, look twice again, and then leap in front of an articulated lorry.
With your zigzaggy road lines that make no sense to me as an American.
Bus lane.
You don't park on the zigzags. You cannot park on those zigzags.
Same with double yellow lines.
Yeah, but no, I think double
you
yellow
don't
lines, the
park on
rule
double
is
yellow?
everyone parks on the double yellow lines, even
The
though
rule is to disregard
you're,
the rule. Well,
Yeah.
back in the day, I used to love, this is a side set, but a wonderful one, in Jonathan Creek. There was a wonderful gag they did with Caroline Quentin, who's his assistant Shelley. It's like a detective series. That she's in London, and this is in the 90s this would have been, and she just parks everywhere on double yellow lines, but the way she gets away with it is she just clamps her own wheel. So she parks, puts the clamp on her wheel, and then goes off and does stuff, comes back, takes it off, packs it in the boot and drives away. I thought, that's
Brilliant.
great. What a joke.
You've got to put the big sticker on the windscreen saying, "Stop, do not attempt to move this vehicle."
Yeah, people in America, we get the parking. I don't know how you guys get parking tickets. Do you get them under your windshield?
Yeah.
Yeah, people will take an old ticket and stick it under there so any parking person will think that they already have a ticket, so they won't stop and give you another ticket. So
It's a clever way of doing things. Smart.
You know that parking attendants, they take photographs of them now, don't they? They take a photograph of the vehicle now. I noticed that.
Well, I know in America they'll do a chalk line on your tire.
Oh.
If like there's say you only have, it's like a 3-hour parking zone. They'll do their walk by and they'll mark it, and then they'll do their walk by and they'll mark it if you're still there. So that's how they.
Oh, fancy that, defacing
in
your
the
car.
city at least. I don't.
Get all
And then-
stuff.
and on the
no,
fifth
it's
time-
just chalk
Pay
on
for
your
them.
tire.
And on the 5th time, they just get a key and scrape it right across.
All along the door. Yeah.
I feel this says something about the Dalek invasion of Earth, that we've ended up talking about parking
Oh,
fines.
well, anything
Right.
to avoid this quite bore fest of a story.
Well, the other thing I will say, I know we've already said this before, but I screwed up my recording. But the one thing that I absolutely adored about this was the teaming up of Barbara and Jenny.
Yeah, we love Jenny.
I love that they put
Jenny and her
two
weird
women
little
together.
fleecy sort of balaclava.
Balaclava, yeah. Well, there's a story behind that, the balaclava, you know.
Is there really?
What is it?
The story is that when they did the location filming, her hair was different.
Oh,
So they
really?
They put a balaclava on her so that, and then in the studio session, they established that whenever she went outside, she put the balaclava on so that there was no discontinuity between her hairstyles.
That's clever. That makes a lot more sense
Wow.
than why she's wearing a balaclava, which nobody ever wears.
But that's crazy as an actress to have changed her hair in the middle of shooting something.
Yeah, well-
that's insanity.
well, no,
Little Planet of the Daleks.
I think that with Katie Manning's hair changing, I think the filming was done a while before. But anyway, it's in the extras of the DVD release. There's an interview with the actress is still alive. You know, well, she was at that point. I don't know whether she still is now. So that all gets explained. Balaclavas were very common in the 1960s. This
is 2150 AD.
I
It's
know,
not
but
2150
it was
AD,
made in
21
1963 and 64.
They thought the fashion was either going to stick around or come back.
It never occurred to them. They just thought, put a balaclava on. It wouldn't have been. It was fairly unusual for a woman to wear a balaclava, but I certainly had a balaclava as a kid.
Fair
In
enough.
the cold weather, you would always wear a balaclava. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it
I
must
don't
come
even
from.
know what we would call that here because we don't have anything that we would call that.
Well, it comes from the Crimean War, I believe. Is that right? The Battle of Balaclava, and I presume they made these things to wear during the Crimean War, and so they called them balaclavas.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Well, so
yes.
the Barbara and Jenny being a two-woman team
Yes.
in the 60s is just, I think, brilliant because they don't have a man who helps them figure things out because women are so, useless and dumb or whatever.
And do things like forget to record.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just couldn't
The
resist.
laugh
Just
of a
to note,
misogynist. There we go.
I didn't forget to record. The button didn't actually depress.
Poor
Yeah, so it's
workman
the
always
bu-
blames their
I
tools.
pressed the button.
Somehow the button. The buttons
At
don't
least
work.
I remembered this in the middle of it.
No, you
But
didn't.
anyhow,
No, well done, well done.
women. Barbara came up with a lot of the great
She did.
ideas.
The combustion engine,
Getting
the wheel.
the idea of overriding the Daleks' control of the Robo-Men. That was all her. Wearing the Robo
You say the
helmet.
balaclava.
You put
It's
that
her idea.
balaclava on, yeah.
So I loved the idea of the two women
Yeah,
were the
she's-
ones who figured out a lot of stuff. And one of my favorites was, and I just was laughing the whole time she was giving the speech, was when she was trying to, come up with the idea of what the rebels' plan
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
When she was telling the Daleks, and she said that the plan will run parallel with the Boston Tea Party. General Lee and the 5th Cavalry are already forming their attack, and Hannibal's forces. Like that, she brought in all of these just things that she was pulling out of the
Well, she's
air
a
and
history
trying to-
teacher,
She
you
is a
see.
history
So,
teacher,
yeah.
Yeah, so that was just absolutely. I loved that. And the Daleks were like, so.
No, they won't. They were.
Okay.
What? We have already conquered India.
Were the voices just way more annoying in this, or is that just me?
They didn't put enough ring modulation on it. If you put those voices through the ring modulator, they would have sounded great. That's what I sound like when I'm doing a Dalek voice. Yeah,
You are talking like this.
Right.
for the
I'm
command.
convinced
Without
as
the-
well, and I always have been, and I stand by. I'm convinced that they were putting their fingers on their noses.
Yes, they...
got bits.
Well, I think they were using the lip mics, and if you really jam the lip mic against your nose,
It's the same effect as, and you get that kind of way of talking. Bit off.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's
the
just
definitive guide to the Dalek invasion of Earth voices.
Dreadful. Well,
We
the
are
Dalek
the masters
Supremes-
of Earth.
The
Kill
Dalek Supreme's
him!
voice was just so high pitched and so it went in and kind of hit your bones.
Oh
and it
yeah,
was
they
like,
got it
ah.
totally wrong, didn't they? It's
No.
I
amazing
remember
that they
the
survived.
I remember the underwhelming feeling as well of growing up seeing this. Because from my first time watching this, I can't remember if it was DVD or VHS, but I remember being utterly disappointed by the quality of not just the production in general, but the voices. I just remember thinking, gosh, what have they done? It feels so cheap and rubbish. It's like,
The first inkling I got of it is when I saw the Lively Arts Doctor Who documentary, Who's Doctor Who, presented by Melvin Bragg, the phenomenon of Doctor Who. And they showed the clip when the Dalek says, "We are the masters of Earth." And I thought, oh my God, that's terrible. And then I went to the big BBC Longleat celebration of Doctor Who and got a chance to watch the Dalek invasion of Earth in a big tent with soldiers walking in front of the screen and John Leeson making stupid announcements throughout. It's completely spoiling my enjoyment of it. But I remember really, I mean, I thought, oh, this is so dull. I couldn't believe that. I thought that maybe, somehow the recording had gone wrong, and we had the wrong version or something. But,
Well, I found myself feeling it extra long. I mean, again, with the numbering thing that threw me off, but so spoiled by the 90-minute movie.
Yeah.
Everything was so condensed down into the movie that watching this, it was like, okay, well, we know that they could get there faster. They could do this. And that was one of my big things, was I just was zoning out so much while I was watching this. And I feel like I definitely missed a lot. I don't know what the Slither, the monster. Did they even
It's called the filler
remotely
episode, and
It just falls over the side.
But did they explain
rubbish.
where it was from? Was it from Skaro? Was it from Earth?
The implication is it's from
mutated
Skaro,
thing?
but the Daleks may have brought it from some other planet. Yeah, they say it's the Black Dalek's pet. So
I read that because I tried to figure out, did I miss this? Like I even
also,
went so far.
I think it gets redesigned between episodes, doesn't it? It's pretty scrappy in the first episode it's in, and when it arrives for its death, it seems to have been revamped and made to look a bit better in the next
probably
episode.
watched the dailies and were like, yeah, no, that looks awful.
Like they were dailies.
Even for Doctor Who standards, that looks. Oh, I know.
They hadn't built it. Well, it's like in the first ever Dalek story, with the sucker. When that sucker was held out to scare Barbara, there was no Dalek behind it. All they had was the sucker.
Somebody ran into the bathroom and said, "Get that plunger." Yeah,
they hadn't finished making the Daleks at that point, I believe.
Because there's poo on the end of it and it's scaring her.
That's why she screamed.
Yeah,
I would do the same.
That she's looking straight.
Somebody was coming at you with a pooey plunger.
She's looking at the turd of doom. She's going, "Ah! These are poo aliens." We've gone down that route again.
It
wasn't me.
Goes down the
Can
poo
I just?
route.
It was me.
If Louise Jameson is listening, it wasn't me. All right.
For the first time ever.
There's so many things I want to say, by the way, about this. It's interesting that the movie conflates the plot, and it has a slightly different plot, the movie. They come to... I'm not quite sure, but the TV show is quite confused about exactly what the Daleks want to do. They want to get rid of the magnetic core, but the way the Daleks are defeated is not, as in the movie, they release the power of the magnetic core, which sucks the Daleks in. That does not happen in the TV series. Right. They do some weird thing like switch off their radio controls, and so they all just go dead. Or so. It's very unclear.
Yeah. I think they blew. Didn't they blow up the control panel?
They blew up an antenna. You see Susan and David blowing up the radio transmitter, and that somehow messes up the Daleks. It's not clear. I think the movie learns a lot of lessons from this script. David Whittaker rewrote it largely for the film, I think, and I think he just made the story more concise and funnily enough,
it up a bit
in a completely pseudo-scientific, ridiculous way, made more sense of it. I think the big problem with this story is that it's got a lot of filler adventure stuff in it, which if it had had the budget, it would have all been fantastic. But it's all done stumbling around wooden sets, making lots of noises the whole time, and it's just so everything goes wrong in this story, doesn't it, from a production point of view. You can hear people talking, people coughing and talking who aren't anything to do with the scene. The cameras bump into each other, the cameras shoot off the set, and you see lights and things. I mean, it's like it was either directed by an imbecile or everything went wrong in the studio on those days. I don't know what happened, but nothing works properly, does it? When they've got a bomb that's meant to be heavy and they keep nudging it so that it just moves and it's obviously polystyrene. I mean, nothing. It's like they spent.
Or when they have the Dalek, the rebels have the Dalek. They're all holding the Dalek, and it's like floating in the air, like it weighs probably the 20 pounds that it actually weighed.
Yeah.
And
And
also
also-
an armor.
I think it is. The problem is, it just look, as Nick said, it just looks so cheap and shoddy.
Yeah.
But it's such a good idea, and it's such a wasted opportunity by the BBC.
It is a
and
great
this is-
story.
It's a great story, and it's what they were presented with is we need another Dalek story. Daleks are really popular now. Let's have them in London, and you have the great location stuff, which I think is brilliant and iconic.
With the Daleks all Sikh Heiling in the
exactly. It's absolutely iconic. But then it's the classic
they're doing that on
contrast as well.
purpose, I think. Yeah.
It is. It's pure Nazism, isn't it? But then you compare those film rushes to everything else in it, and it's just dreadful, isn't it? It just is. There are some. I have one thing that I think is superb about this particular serial, though. I would say the music is absolutely superb.
Oh, I hate it.
And I love it because but it's really scary. I find the music really frightening.
I think it is, but it's not good music. It's like he did it on his lunch break or something. I found.
But it fulfills a purpose. It's so bleak. The organ.
It is bleak. Yes.
It's completely bleak. And I like that about it. And I think it's the third episode. The one where they it starts, I believe, with them attacking the ship or something. Can't remember which one it is. There's basically one episode in it which is really good as a piece, but the rest of it is just filler. There's no.
It's like
filler
when
or
Ian
filler.
and that guy are getting hiding under the floorboards in the Dalek ship, and then the camera pulls back, and you can just see the set ends there. and when the Doctor and co are in with Ian and Craddock are in the cell, you can see that there's no wall there, and they're just Daleks moving around, and you just think, oh my God, how come the Daleks don't overhear them? It's just, or they don't think, oh, Daleks can hear us. It's what it does. It over the grand adventure scale of the story overreaches the budgetary and technical abilities of the time, and Terry Nation needed at least twice the budget to achieve this. The interesting thing for me is that it rips off ideas from Day of the Triffids, and also it rehearses ideas that Terry Nation later uses in Survivors, his post-pandemic series. The whole business, basically what they describe, the breakdown of human civilization that's described in the Dalek invasion of Earth, is what happens in Survivors, because the idea of the Daleks bombing the Earth with germs and creating a pandemic is what happens in Survivors, except that it's not Daleks doing it, it's just a disease that got like COVID-19 that got out of control. So it's Terry Nation through and through, but it's just so badly directed. It's there's another story that misses the mark like this from the William Hartnell era, and that's The Web Planet, which again is massively ambitious, all set on an alien planet. The only human creatures in it, I'm telling you this, Shelley, because you don't know, the only human creatures in it are the Doctor and his friends. Everyone else is an insect, and you can imagine how badly they do that.
Okay.
I mean, I remember my dad remembering that story, and he was always saying, "Oh yes, it had sort of men dressed like butterflies and giant ants." And I remember he in his memory it was great, and then I showed it to him, and he was just like, "This is the worst thing I've ever seen. This is utterly ridiculous."
And again, it's so overambitious that everything in it goes wrong. People hit cameras. It's just, it's almost like they're crushed by the demands of the story.
I wonder if they were directed by the same person, just out of interest.
Who has directed it? Was it Richard? No, I can't remember. So
Dalek Invasion of Earth was directed by Richard Martin.
Yeah.
And Richard Martin also directed The Web Planet.
Yeah, he's not. It's a terrible thing to say, but you can always tell when Richard Martin's directed. It's like like Peter Moffat in the 80s. You know, everything he directed is as dull as anything because he just had no flair as a director. People liked him because he was efficient and got things done. And likewise,
And he's
probably,
a nice man as well.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. He always comes
very
across a
nice.
lovely, passionate chap. But yeah, I mean, isn't that
do you
interesting?
mean Peter Moffat or
I'm talking about Richard Martin.
Richard Martin always speaks very knowledgeably, and but yeah, just made a terrible job of this. Really,
Yeah.
harsh, but true. I feel, yeah.
You know, unfortunately, I think he is. You know, it says here on his wiki page, actually, it says here, one of his few regrets about his work at the time of Doctor Who, beyond budgetary constraints, which is obviously, so he's obviously acknowledging that, was a decision to lay Dalek signage on the cenotaph during location filming for the Dalek invasion of Earth. Why is that a regret? I think I thought that was quite a good idea, quite frankly.
Unfortunately, I was distracted by my son handing me a Christmas card then, so I missed what you said. Now I'm intrigued.
And I can't answer the question, so.
Well, he says that one of his few regrets for working on the show, apart from budgetary constraints, was his decision to lay Dalek signage on the cenotaph when location filming for the Dalek invasion of Earth.
Oh, right.
But I think that was actually a good idea.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, did it deface it then? Is that what he's embarrassed about?
Well, I don't know. He says he just says one of his regrets, but I can't see any particular any reason.
I mean, I
why.
did think when I saw that stuff that they'd sprayed on there, I thought, how easily did that come off?
Yeah, well, quite. I mean,
We should go to the cenotaph one day and check for any sign.
There's one little sentence I did see in Wiki that says the design team added Dalek markings on landmarks such as Nelson's Column, which police requested they remove.
Wow.
So
There is one scene where they've just gone round the Albert Hall and they go up a street and you can just see people walking along the pavement further up. That obviously the guy filming didn't spot through his viewfinder and they had no choice but to use the footage. You can just see people walking along. You think, hello, what are they, Robomen going on a shopping, Sunday shopping?
they're rebels that are just so rebels they're not hiding. They're like, I'm out in the open. Come on, Daleks, come and get
I'll
me.
shop. I'm not going to bother about your...
It's fake news.
Yeah.
Daleks aren't taking over the Earth.
Now,
Well,
that
I
would
mean,
be a
Hey.
really interesting story, wouldn't it? Yeah, a Dalek invasion that half the population just won't believe in because they think it's fake news.
Yeah.
I
read
haven't just
something
been
this morning
exterminated.
that said that any zombie movie from here on out, if there's not half of the people running at the zombie horde saying you're all fake, it's not real, then it's not going to be a realistic zombie movie.
Well,
so I
this
think
is true.
that can go along with any Dalek invasion or any alien invasion and any Doctor Who story from here on out.
I like the other idea that
Doubters.
that this is all
Yeah.
going on, but people, like Monty Python's Holy Grail, where
Oh,
the
yeah.
knights at the end they just get arrested by the police, and they're like that. Like these people are creeping through London. They think that they're crossing some wasteland and the Daleks invaded, when really it's just something going. Everybody else. What are they? What are those things over there?
It's a
I don't know,
student prank.
Yes, that's the
Yeah,
thing they always
yeah.
say. It's just student pranks. I'm sure.
Or they're protesting something, or
It's all nonsense.
Now, of
Talking
course,
of nonsense then. Sorry, carry on, Nick.
I was going to say the temptation is to subject Shelley to the web planet, but we won't do that. We'll get off Doctor Who
We'll
for a
hold
while.
off on that.
Yeah, we've done a lot of Doctor Who recently and concentrating in the same area of it. Were you going to? We'll have a think about what we're going to do next time. Were you going to do the shout outs, Benji?
Well, I was going to say, what ratings do we give?
Oh,
Dalek
goodness.
Invasion of
Yes,
Earth?
yes.
I think that's Loch Ness. I think it's.
well, I'm gonna start.
Okay.
Because that's what I'm gonna do. Because I screwed the whole thing up today. I want to just say I'm glad I watched the movie first.
Yes.
Because it did bring some knowledge and understanding to what the actual
Yes.
storyline was. Because as we said, I didn't really understand what a lot of it was, like why the Daleks were what they were going to do to the magnetic center of the Earth, why they wanted to do it.
we don't know
all
either.
that stuff, right? But it made more sense from the movie's point. So I'm gonna have to try to be generous because I did have all the feels at the end, but from
Oh,
the beginning to the end. There's a whole section of me nodding off and not really paying attention. So I'm gonna have to say, I'm gonna say 2.5.
Yeah. Fair.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna say. Just because it just didn't pull together enough for me.
Yeah,
it's a mess.
But I did
It's
at
a
the
mess.
ending, the last episode, the writing and the dialogue and that whole Susan's, and maybe because I was happy that Susan was leaving, but I'm so sorry.
Gasp.
But I'm going low, but
Yeah, fair.
I'm with you on this 100% for all the reasons really you've said. I think this is unfortunately a little slump in the Daleks. Dalek Invasion of Earth is dreadful. I think the Chase I think is dreadful as well. I just think they've
The
lost
Chase is
their
a much better production than this, though.
better production, but it's just boring.
Better Dalek voices.
Better Dalek, but I don't like it. I wouldn't. Let's put it this way: I own it, but I don't think I would really want to watch it that often. It gets better on, I think, with all the master plan stuff and all that business. That's when it really rocks.
Before I give it my mark, I just want to go back to I wanted to mention David Campbell, who I think is one of the truly terrible bits of acting in Doctor Who. The guy
he's
playing David
diabolical,
Campbell.
isn't he?
It's
Yeah.
Everything's just, it's just, I mean, he's terrible and he's fidgety and even though Carol Ann Ford is brilliant in those final scenes, he kind of spoils it, and it's really weird. I remember when I first saw it, I felt like they both looked constipated. They were sort of like standing, and it's like they were waiting for the
It's
music.
very static.
Yeah, it was very odd, really, and I think that's a big shame that the David Campbell act is so terrible. Did you also notice that there's an unscheduled missing of the Doctor in one of the episodes? And did you notice when he passed out, that didn't sound like William Hartnell, Shelley?
no, I
It was a
didn't. I might have been
stand-in.
zoned out.
It was a stand-in who just goes, ah, and then they got William Hartnell out of that episode, because rumour has it, I don't know whether I'm right about this, folks, perhaps people can write in and correct me if I'm wrong, where William Hartnell had an accident in the preceding episode and had been quite badly hurt. And I remember Michael Wisher saying to me that he was never the same after that episode, but
Wow.
I don't think that's true. But that he was, and he had to have the week off, which is why. It's why David.
all the filler.
It's why David Campbell has to solve all the bomb stuff. That's something
Right.
that the Doctor
Okay.
should solve. But there's
Right.
no.
How
and
interesting.
And it may also be behind the fact that they were realizing that William Hartnell was unable to take such a huge amount of scenes. That may be a reason why Barbara ends up being cleverer.
Right.
Because they were giving. Not that William
good,
Hartnell had an
yay.
episode of, but what I'm saying is the reason why that
Distributing
unexpected burst of a lack of sexism in a 1960s children's drama happens is because their leading actor wasn't able to take as much weight as needed, so they had to distribute plot and ideas around other characters, and that's why Barbara gets to be cleverer in this story. Yeah, I'm not saying that's necessarily true, but I think it's a factor because it is so out of character for television of that era to be so
100%.
generous to a female character, and I think she gets it secondhand. But yeah, that particular episode, all that stuff down in the sewers, the Doctor is meant to be with them throughout that, and they have to do this thing of saying, "Oh, and now we'll go back." I mean, they leave him under a. That's massively unsafe, isn't it? To do a Dalek or a Roboman could see him at any time. They say it's just William Hartnell had to have the week off. Mind you, he turns up and he's extra energetic for at least 5 minutes before he starts forgetting his lines again.
Well, I found it funny how, going just back to the silly ideas of them hiding or whatever, there was the scene where David and Susan are hiding behind a bush. And it's literally like a twig
holds
with
it
like
like
a leaf
that, doesn't
on
he?
it.
He goes-
And he goes like
Yeah.
that. And it so reminded me of like when you play hide and seek with little kids
Yes.
and they do this because they think they can't see you, so you can't see them.
What they should have done is taken their shoes off and put them poking out from under something and gone somewhere else. So the Daleks go, "There they are, killed them." Sorry.
Kill them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was
so that
good.
just made me laugh. Thank you.
I'm giving it 2 exclamation marks because,
Okay.
even,
Wow, I'm more generous than you.
even though it's got so many important things for the development of the Daleks and there's so much I love, I would love to remake this story in all its length, but do it properly. They were just too ambitious, bless their cotton socks, and made bad technical decisions about the Dalek voices, some bad casting decisions as well. And Richard Martin, bless his cotton socks. It's like he just didn't have control. When you watch one of these old episodes, Shelley, and it's been directed by Douglas Camfield, there are a few surviving episodes of the Daleks Master Plan, and Douglas Camfield directed them, and they are as tight as a drum, and he had the same resources, but he just knew how to motivate people and get them to do the right. Somehow I think Richard Martin was possibly too charming and affable, and I think you had to run those old TV series like an authoritarian general to get it all done. What do you reckon, Benji? Is that fair?
I think you're absolutely on the money with that one.
Douglas Camfield does things like has a shot of the sun, then cross-face to the next scene, and you can see the sun, but then you realise it's light reflecting off the dome of a Dalek, and he pulls back off the Dalek, and he does stuff like that in a multi-camera studio shoot to get that kind of stuff right. Is and to even attempt to be that ambitious.
I was just going to say that, Benji, ahead of his time, doing stuff that
definitely.
people didn't figure out until later to make those fun, interesting transitions.
Yeah, it's full of that, and all the even though William Hartnell's still there messing up his lines, because poor fellow, he was ill and couldn't help it. It's still, everything's really tight. He really used those rehearsals in the church hall to get it working, and I just don't know what did Richard Martin do in the week he had to rehearse each episode.
Went fishing.
Yeah, I don't know what he did, because he clearly didn't motivate that cast to do it properly.
No.
Although maybe they were really up to speed and they got on set and everything was just falling apart. I mean, there really are bits where you can hear people just coughing and talking in the background, can't
Things
you?
creaking all the time. Daleks creaking as well.
Well, that happens to this very day, but that's all redubbed now. I mean, the Daleks, the modern Daleks sound. I don't mean the radio-controlled ones that are in the Christmas special. Sorry, the New Year's special. But the old Daleks, they sound like creaking old ships as they move along. And all the other actors have to post-sync their lines because the Daleks have made
You need to oil the wheels.
Yeah.
Get some WD-40 on those bad boys.
They're made of fiberglass as well, so you get a natural creak with fiberglass. I remember my old Dalek that I had. If anybody was inside, even moving the arms, they would just creak and groan and make all kinds of noise. It was just utterly ridiculous, but they do look impressive.
It's like my joints now. You hit a certain age and everything's like, hey,
you become a Dalek when you reach a certain age.
Yeah.
So with you.
Well, there we go. I think a solid 2 there from Nick. I think so. 2 2.5, so 1 2. 1 2 3 4 5 6. There we have it. Dalek Invasion of Earth. We've got some shout outs to do first before we decide what we're doing next. So we've got Goodness tier, which I actually misread at a glance as Goddess tier, and I was thinking we haven't got that. That's our lovely friend Fatima.
Goddess.
Fatima Issa, who, as you will know, is a Yeti breeder and, of course, amateur butterfly conversationalist. There's some great logs there.
I did type that very quickly, and I actually put Yeti breeder, but I did mean breeder.
Hovis, of course.
See, and I read it as breeder because that's just how my brain works.
Thank goodness
and
for
of
you.
course, we've got our first Loch Ness tier, Chris David. So thank you so much as well for Loch Nessing with us. Of course, the interesting thing about Chris David is that he's known in the outer reaches of the Crab Nebula as a fine, jolly chap, actually. Isn't he? Well known in the pub circuits and the circuses and knitting shops as a well-rounded person.
It
so there we
certainly
have
is. Thank you, Chris.
There's crabs knitting.
Yeah.
So we have the first entrance into our Loch Ness Live lounge, whatever that is. I don't know. We don't even know what it is yet, but that's part of the fun.
But don't worry, Chris. It'll be on its way very soon.
We're going to talk about it, we promise.
We will. What are we going to do next week? week.
Are we hitting Christmas?
Oh, come on then. We've got to do Christmas film, haven't we? It's got to be... Let's consult the Patreon. Armaments, chapter 3, verses 9 to 17.
I thought it was 9 to 31.
It might
The
be.
early upload.
And so
the-
Lord Attila raised him on high, saying, "O Lord, bless this thy hand grenade, that with it we..."
Sorry, I'm just going off my own one there. Well, this is perfect. We've got a huge list of different things. We put the question to our Patreon folks saying, what we're saying here, what Christmassy watch along would you like to see? We've got lots of entries in here. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I always preferred, nobody really remembers the sequel to that, but the sequel was brilliant. The one where Rudolph goes to the archipelago or something or another.
Is that with the Baby New Year?
Baby New Year and
Yeah,
Father
that's the
Time.
Baby New Year
That's
one,
the
yeah.
one I've
Heat
never-
Miser.
Yes,
Oh.
I loved that.
Yes.
That film in particular was growing up.
Nick is like...
The original Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer was like whatever, but this one with Baby New Year and Old Father Time was
and Heat Miser is one of my absolute favorite characters ever.
so good.
Well, we're
so
not going to
good.
do a commentary, are we? We're just going to talk about it.
We'll talk about it, yeah, because it could be
Okay.
difficult.
Well, can we
we've
do
got,
Rudolph? Well, God, no. What else have you got?
We got the Abominable Snowmen. Second Doctor story, that's from Laura Valensky.
But that doesn't
or the
all
Feast
exist.
of Stephen. Yeah, neither does the Feast of
No,
Stephen.
we can't watch that.
Hugh McIlroy says, we've already covered it, but Box of Delights.
Yeah, we can't do that
How
again.
about a Christmas chill with the 1989 version of The Woman in Black? God, that'd be good, wouldn't it?
1989. Oh, yeah, that is really good.
That's a good
On
one.
network
I've seen
television. What about a real Christmas film on Christmas? The original Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Again, it's a
Which is
cracking
called Willy
one.
Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Willy Wonka
Yes.
and the Chocolate Factory. Yeah, that is a cracker of a film, isn't
with the
it?
guy from
Gene
Day of the
Wilder,
Daleks in
baby.
it as well.
Yes, Aubrey Woods. Gremlins, of course, from Carl Scott there.
I've never
Gremlins
seen it,
is,
and I don't want to...
Gremlins is an old school.
I love it. I remember
42nd
seeing it in the theater. That's
Wow.
We would call that the cinema.
80s.
yeah.
The cinema. 42nd Seagoon says the Granada Sherlock Holmes series, The Blue Carbuncle. Oh, so I think I've got that on DVD somewhere. Blu-ray, actually, I do believe. The original, you might say. Chris David says the Romeo Muller Christmas movies. Always fun viewing, run about 45 minutes each. There's also The Avengers episode, Too Many Christmas Trees. Fatina offers up the classic Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer movie from 1964. We've also got the last one here is the Will Ferrell movie Elf, just for Nick.
Love it.
Only if he does his Harrison Ford voice.
But it says here, Blackadder Christmas Carol is a good one. The BBC adaptation of The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. Remember watching that one at school. And as already mentioned, Box of Delights. So that's the selection.
Well, I'm still sticking with Rudolph because I haven't seen it for years, and I would love to see that again.
The
That would be
first one or the...
I'd love to watch the second one just because I love that film so much.
But well, maybe both then.
Both, yeah, we could watch both.
So we have decided that we are going to watch Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and Rudolph's
Shiny New Year.
That will be our
Great.
Christmas celebration in a podcast available to everyone on the 27th of December.
Yes. So it'll be a
some
little
of our-
post-Christmas. You can keep your Christmas celebration going 2 extra days.
And some of our...
Well, you guys do that
exciting.
Boxing Day, right? Is that a big Christmassy thing?
Yeah,
right?
Boxing
With
Day is
Boxing
big
Day?
over here, yeah.
Yeah.
And some of our
Well, we
Patreon...
all just fight each other, don't we?
This is my 5th time trying to say this. Some of our Patreon followers will
Yes,
get
and
it the week...
anyway, sorry, Nick, sorry, carry
Some of
on.
our Patreon... It's because there's a delay on the internet as well, and I've started talking, but you haven't heard that I've started talking. Some of our... I don't even want to say it now.
Okay, then.
Well,
So anyway,
thanks.
Some of our Patreon followers will get it a week early, just to mention. So they'll be having it on the 20th. An early Christmas dinner for you.
Christmas dinner. Well, on that note, then I suppose we better come close to the microphone like we're going to eat it for our Christmas dinner. Lots of custard, noses on pop shields, everybody.
Dinner.
Lumps of
And
coal,
from
cheese and biscuits.
me, Benji Biscuit, it's could be
From me, Nick Knobs of Coal Briggs, it's could be. Don't forget to send your emails to podcast@nicholasbriggs.com or message us on Twitter or Facebook or Patreon.
And this is goodbye from Shelley. Christmas pudding.
Pressing stop now. Ka-chunk.